Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Isley. In my last video, I did Hangman using just pure Python, and in this video, I've been working on PyGame Hangman. So I actually finally have a user interface, so that was pretty exciting to work on. And I tried to include everything I could to make it a complete game. So I got a home screen, the game screen, and then a win-lose screen with a restart option. So if there's a feature you feel like it's missing, or you think like I could put something else in to make it like more of a complete game, let me know what you think down in the comments below. I could, I guess, put music, but I just didn't really feel like it was needed to add music into it. But I just want to kind of get into the code of kind of what I did. But so I imported PyGame and made sure all the functions were loaded up using the import all, and then I imported random because I'm using random to do some choosing when it comes to what word out of my category gets picked. So first we initiated PyGame. I set my window using pygame.display. So I did a 600 by 900 pixels, and then for this next bit I'm just loading in all the images I made. So I made my own game screen, so it's just kind of like the body, the arms, and the legs. I did it all as one image. So instead of having to load like individual pieces, I just update the whole background to be that, because I didn't really feel like there was a need to move smaller pieces around the screen. I have my instructions, my home page, and then veggies, fruit, car maker, colors. These are all the categories that you can choose from, which is right here. And then the anti veggie is when you hover over it, just switches it to the other picture. So I mean, there's other ways I could have done it. I could have just made a rectangle and then changed the color of the rectangle, but I just have it blitting another image onto the screen instead. Right here, these are my rectangles. So this is just sensing like when I'm in this area, it changes the color. So it's really just like looking for my mouse position to be hovering over that area. So that's all those rectangle fruit colors restart button are going to be. And then a couple global items I had was misses left is 6, user choices being what letters the user guesses, and then the choice is what word the computer chose using the random function. All categories, it was just checking for all categories. Really all it's looking for is to make sure that the word that the computer chose is in here, and then it's just going to break my while statement to start running the game screen. So we'll get down to that. So I'm just going to cut down here to my game loop. So basically just saying run this while this is true, while run for event in pygame.get. If you quit, so all I'm looking for there is if you want to hit the exit button, it'll close the game once you hit it. So my cat word home screen, so this home screen right here, I have it returning the category chosen, and then that category gets saved as cat word, and I equals 1. So while I equals 1, if cat word's not in that user category I showed, then it's going to just keep the screen running. So that's kind of how I'm keeping the screen running right here. But once I choose a category, it'll pick. And we can I'll cut up to the home screen function now that I've kind of introduced that. So all my home screen doing is right here is just making sure that's a global choice. This is just making sure my mouse is visible. So if you made this false when I was over the game screen, it would not show my mouse. You don't really have to do that. It shows it regardless, but I just wanted to add it in. Position, this is just getting my mouse position. That way it knows where it is on the screen so it can change the color of the image. And then I'm window.blitz, so I'm adding all the images that I loaded in onto the screen right now. And then if for event in pygame.mouse get pressed, that's looking to see if I click the button. If I click the button, then it would run this, but otherwise it's going to just basically, when I hover over it, it's going to put that other image on the screen. And then blit just kind of loads the image in the background, but you have to flip the display to show it. So image display.flip, so that's what I'm doing there. And then if you do click, basically it's going to push choice equals fruits, choice equals veggies, choice equals car maker. So that choice is really just going to load in what category you chose for the next screen so you can see it. But what it's returning this computer choice dot choice. So and then that's what this is returning, and then it's going to break it once you've clicked. It passes that, it's going to break the code. So it's going to break the loop and then push that back to the home screen. So let me close this up because we're done with that one. And then real quick, the way I'm looking to see when it's over that box is using this function right here. So is over. It's just looking for when I collide into that position that I'm passing. So I'll close that one up. Let me get on up here to computer choice. So I put my category list in here. It's going to pick one of these words. I'm using if category, whatever I passed. And then it's going to return secret word. So this is returning secret word to the home screen. And then the home screen's passing that back to my game function. So that one was pretty basic. So let me get back down. I just kind of want to step by step it. All right, so we picked a word. It returned what game word we're using. It was in all category list, so now it's going to continue down. This is my reset statement. I'll get to that later. So it's going to jump down to here, and game logic equals cat word. So now it's passing the category word, so my secret word or the hidden word, to the game logic. So let's say we pick fruits. All right, so this is now game logic is kind of what I called it. So let me run up to that function real quick. All right, so game logic, it's got my secret word. So whatever the computer chose for me in the category fruits. So global choice, it loads that in. Global misses left loads that in, and then user choices, that's loading in what letters I'm choosing as the player. It's going to blit the game screen, so that's this beginning screen in the back, and then it's going to put the instructions on, and the instructions are saying use the keyboard to guess the word, only use A through Z. Don't necessarily have to use A through Z because we have some user handling to stop players from picking anything outside of that. So, and then if PyGame.font, so all this is saying is if .font loads correctly, then do this. So if it did not load correctly, then all this would not happen. And then font. So right here, I'm just kind of configuring what font I want. I downloaded one off of defont.com, and that's going to be saved in my GitHub under the files attached to the code. It'll have everything just to credit the artist for his font. And then I'm picking the size of the font. I'm going to render what words I want using that font. And then I'm picking the location. Center X equals window. That's just basically making sure the text is centered on my screen whenever it prints it. Putting how many chances they have left. And I'm just adding it all to the screen with window.blit. I have one more down at the bottom, just your word is, and then I'll get to when we put the dashes on the screen. But this is all an initial load screen, so really this is just going to show up one time at the beginning of the game, and then I have my other game screen that starts running once you start making choices. And then so this is my location of X, but basically in the list, in the length of that word, add a dash to display list every time. And then after you do that, iterate through and print that to the screen. So window.blit, and then it's putting those dashes. And every time it puts a dash, it separates it by 40. So it just keeps that spacing. This is a little messed up because when you add it to the screen, some letters are bigger than others. so it does make some of the words look a little wonky. So I could have maybe just done images for the words. That might have been a better way to do it. But then you're going to want to flip that display. And if you're ever putting it on the screen and you get some flickering, usually it's because you have more than one display flip in one of the loops. That happened to me a lot, where my image just kept flickering on and off. I removed one of my display.flips and then it started working. So just be careful of that per loop you really only want one display flip. So then this is the game loops for kind of once you start playing this game with the current word. So while it's true, I gave them a quit option because I'm kind of sticking them in another loop, so they want to be able to quit out of this window as well. If the dash is no longer in that display screen, it's going to assume you won, so then it would run my winner screen. If misses left is at 0, it's going to assume you lost the game, so then it's going to run the loser screen. But otherwise, it's going to want to take your key down entry. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking that key down entry. So PyGame.name. So it's event key. So the event key would be like K or like a K underscore A for key underscore the letter A. But then that also has a name, so you can use key.name, and then that'll give you the actual character of that key. So that's what I'm doing here. Just making sure it reads it as a string, making it uppercase so that it can be compared to my alphabet and to my user words or secret words, and then it's going to pass that to key pressed. So just moving on up. Alright, so in the key press, there's a pretty good amount of stuff happening, but so I have my alphabet first off, so it just knows what keys are in play. I'm loading in user choices so I can add all the guesses that they do, and then I'm doing global misses so I can change how many misses they have as well. What I'm doing here is I'm filling the screen and making it black. That way I just wipe everything off the screen before I start blending all the images back onto it every loop. If you don't do this, you'll end up with like if the letter A was in the word right here, it would still hold the dash under it because that was on the last screen. So you need to make sure you wipe the screen off. And then so if say I guess the letter A, oh, was in the wrong window there. All right, so if I guess the letter A, guesses A, but now I can hit A as many times as I want and it's not going to pop up at the bottom of my guesses, because otherwise you would have multiple A's showing up there. So let me kind of jump back up and show you kind of what my if-else statements are doing in this section. Alright, so if letter not in the word, so if it's not in this secret word and the letter is not in user choices already, if the letter's in the alphabet, misses left -1. So let's say I put D, and I did it again. Alright, sheesh. So if I put D over here, or X, so D and X were both wrong, so it made my chances left to 4. But if I keep hitting X right now like I'm doing, it's not changing chances left because it's already in user choices. So I don't want to ding the player again for maybe accidentally hitting X again when he knows he guessed it. So that's kind of stopping multiple miss entries for the same letter. If letter in alphabet and letter not in user choices, so take A for example, I can keep hitting A and it's not going to keep adding it to my guesses. So that's just stopping a bunch of repeats down here at the bottom. So that's all that's saying. So basically each letter gets one pick, and then after that you're done. And then game screen misses left. I basically just have a function to just keep posting as misses go down it's going to change what the background is. So that's pretty simple. And then all of this text right here that's basically going to be here every time is in this function as well. The only thing that's not in that function is really this word and the guesses down here at the bottom. I have a separate loop for that. So I'll go ahead and close that up because that's pretty much, we're done with that one. So that's my game screen. This is just more text, just putting guesses on the screen for me. A equals 50, B equals 80. This is just the location of this right here. Basically, I wanted to have it so that it puts your guesses on the screen, and then once you get up to 600, which would be the far side over here, it resets B to 850 pixels, which would move you down here, and then it would create another row. It's actually not needed for my code, but if you decide to have, if you would allow more than 6 misses, you would probably start running into needing that second line. So I just went ahead and added it in, so it would be an option to add more misses as an opportunity later. We're going to iterate through the word, print dashes to the screen. However, if the letter like A was, if user choices was in the word, then it's going to append the list. That way that A gets printed under my word. But like Apple, the reason I have a global user choices list is so that I can append it, but when my loop runs through again, it'll still be in that list because the list didn't get reset. So that's why I have this user choices list outside of my function, because otherwise it would get reset every time. And then this is me just printing it to the screen. So this is just adding it to the list, and then this is me iterating through that list to print it all back to the screen. And then you're going to want to display.flip there at the end. So this is kind of running the whole time you're playing. So let me just run through, let me jump back down to the game loop. So now that we kind of got this section out of the way, let's just cover my win condition. So I know it's Apple. Oh, it's Apple here. All right, so we're pretty much done with key.press. I'm gonna close that one up. Done with home screen. All right. So for the windscreen here, I put PyGame.stop text because I don't want any more letters to be able to be typed and misses, because otherwise you start having misses in the background. So I stopped all text input. It's going to display the winner screen while the winner screen equals false, meaning while you haven't clicked this button, keep running winner screen. Else if it's true, so if they click the button and the function has returned true, reset the misses and user choices list clear. That way the next time you run the game, none of this is down here. And then it's going to return 2, which I'll jump back down to the game screen here. So if the return of game logic equals 2, reset the cat word so that this keeps breaking again, and change I to 2. Not really needed. I could take this out. I haven't tested it without it, so I'm not going to do it now. But yeah, basically, it's just going to reset. It's going to break the loop. Actually, excuse me, sorry. That's why I have I to 2 here, so it breaks out of this right here. And then it would jump back up here, run through, and keep sticking in this loop until you picked a new category, since that word was set to none, and that's not in my all category list. And I'll do the same thing for the loser screen. And I'm resetting the misses so that this number is updated when you start playing again. And let's see here. And then I'll jump So that's really it for the game logic. So that's how I'm breaking the loop, is once you hit true here, it returns 2 back to the main loop, and then that'll decide if you get to restart the game or not. So all I'm doing here is just blitting this image, doing the same, checking where the mouse is here, and then I'm just saying, hey, if the event equals true, like I click the button, then return true to break the loop. And then I'll show you the winner screen, or the loser screen is just a little different, but let me just go ahead and click. If it'll let me click here. I'll just bring it back up. Sheesh, my mouse button wasn't working. Alright, so it chose Apple again. Come on, computer. There we go. Alright, so click through. So I'll say veggies. I'll just make sure I lose here. Alright, so the only difference that the loser screen is doing is it's updating this word right here to be the hidden word. And then same thing with restart. You'll be able to click it, pick your categories again. So that's really it for my first game. If you see any features that you think would be nice, obviously you could add more words to the list so that you're not getting multiple repeats, but I try to make it like as complete as possible with having all my menu screens. If you have any suggestions, I think next I might try to build it in Udemy, make some Blender items so that it's a little more finished when it comes to the background imagery. I mean, this is something I made on my own, was just a little night, so that's kind of why I called it Nighty Night. But I mean, I had really fun on it. If you have any suggestions for what future games should be to kind of keep my progress going, drop it down in the comments below. Drop a subscribe, that would really help me grow and kind of build a community of people who can just, who are beginners and maybe want to learn this stuff together. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you in the next video. Take it easy.